So you asked me why I would want to be a data analyst. It's a pretty basic, very, very good question, honestly. Um, Boils down to, for me, it's something that I enjoy and something that I would be good at. Data analysis to me kind of involves some things that I really enjoy, those being numbers, solving puzzles, and effective communication. Numbers is something I've been into since I was a little kid. Always obsessed with numbers. And I remember playing like Stratomatic baseball and Risk as a kid, and always thinking about what's the advantage in the numbers. Like if I'm gonna in Risk, if I'm gonna conquer these territories, about how many rolls do I think I'm gonna need based on how many armies I'm gonna have and how many they're gonna have. So I was already kind of doing kind of an expected value um, analysis at that point in my life. And that continued all the way up through college. Doing fantasy sports is all about numbers and what the players can produce in the numbers. So it's always fascinated me. And I've actually done some data analysis in my own personal life without even realizing at the time. I would always take and track my tips, even before the days of phone apps. I actually did it on paper, but I would add it up by the week, by the month, by the year. And after a few years, I actually looked at what I made. I did a weekday average, and that actually led to an actionable decision of me not working Saturday nights and working Monday nights instead. So I've been able to look at that stuff in that way for a long time. And communication to me, I've always been a pretty good communicator. I mean, I remember in the restaurant in the hospitality experience, I remember one time talking to Bill and Melinda Gates at a table, and they had a special request for the kitchen. It wasn't something we typically did, but we're a high end restaurant, so we're going to make it happen. But I had to take that communication from the tech billionaire, and I had to go back to the kitchen and do a different language with the stakeholders, somebody who English isn't even a first language, and I had to use kitchen speak in order to communicate with them. So I've always been in my years doing that, I've always been practicing and honing my skills at talking to different stakeholders, using different language in different times, sometimes from minute to minute. Um, it's just something I enjoy. And finding the insights and coming up with a solution to a problem just really kind of excites me. And I know that data analysis is a way for me to be able to do that. Why this particular company? Why am I interested in Starbucks? Well, there are many reasons. One, you're a local company. Another one is that you've been around for a long time, you're very well established, and from your mission statement, your corporate mission statement to inspire and nurture, those are things that ring very true to me. Particularly um, the way you break it down in the mission statement, where you're saying one cup in one neighborhood at a time. That's to me, that is the essence of the way things are for me. Like if I'm trying to set a goal, I'll have maybe a long distance goal, but then I will break it down to a month, a week, or a day. Like, what do I need to be doing today? When you're doing the same thing, very cohesive there with the one cup in one neighborhood at a time. You're a coffee company. I love coffee. I love coffee in almost all of its forms, whether it be espresso, drip, whatever it is. And I mentioned the fact that you're established, but you're not static. You're always coming up with new things. You don't just wait for October to sell all the pumpkin spice lattes. You change the menu throughout the year, and you try and follow trends. I've seen some that you've done have been successful, some have not. But like now you're doing that oat milk, brown sugar shaken espresso thing, just capitalizing on the non-dairy trend that seems to be going on. And also, you've got a good data team in place. They're very well established. And to me, that would be a very good relationship both for me and for Starbucks. For me in the beginning, because I can learn from their experience and get ramped up in a much quicker time frame than I could on my own. And long term, it would benefit Starbucks because I would be able to get there more quickly and be able to then go on a further path with Starbucks. Um, Also, the way you've responded to the pandemic, the way Starbucks has responded to the pandemic has been very fascinating to me. To me, you guys are one of the fastest companies to respond. You started closing some stores and some of your sites in certain areas, like in office buildings. I mean, I saw those go away just down the street from me pretty quickly, and also expanding in other places. You also, and just the way you've done it and the way you did it so quickly, I know that a lot of that had to be data driven. And it was just really impressive to me compared to some of the other companies of similar size that were a little slower to react. I thought you did a really good job with that. You also, even though you're a coffee company, you're also a technology company, and that really excites me. I mean, you think about like ordering apps on the phone and picking up online. You guys are way ahead of the curve on that, even before the pandemic. You're trying to make it more convenient for everyone, and coming up with new ways to do that so that people could order. And that excites me. Being on a company that has a quality product and is on the technological edge is a really great combination. You asked me about a time when I handled a conflict with coworkers. I do remember a time, uh, got very angry actually. I was at a table talking about dessert and after dinner drinks, a large table, like 12 people in a private room. And one of my coworkers came after me and started speaking to me from across the room. It's just not something you do. You don't break that. It's like breaking the fourth wall when you're watching, when you're watching a movie. So he wanted to talk to me loudly in the room, and I quickly got him I told my table I would be right back. I quickly escorted him out of the room, and he continued to get on me in a very loud manner outside the door. And I'm like, okay, my table can still hear me. We need to get further away. So I actually took the elevator down to another level where he and I were able to talk. I had actually we made tableside Caesars at this restaurant, taken his olive oil and not returned it, and it just fried him. He was flying off the handle. Um, so he and I talked for a few minutes. I knew my table would be fine for a couple of minutes. They'd had some wine, they'd had their food, they're sitting pretty. I'm probably not going to sell as much dessert or after dinner drinks since they've had a little bit more time for their food to digest. But oh well. Um, so he and I talked, and we calmed down to a level. I apologized for taking it, not returning it. I didn't do it intentionally. And then he and I were able to go back up, and go about our day. And I still ended up helping him with his table throughout the rest of the night. There may have been a few glares back and forth, but then after that shift was over and we were doing our cash outs, he and I sat and talked about what happened and how we might be able to do a little bit better. Like next time, yeah, oh, it's okay, get mad, but don't come into the room and don't talk to me like that in front of a table. It's just not the way we do things. And I talked about my responsibility in it of, not being able to not returning it properly.